Today I'm looking for Mayan ruins that some Londoners vaguely pointed out to me. So in theory, it should be doable in a day. But, well, the information is very, very vague. So I'm following a fairly large stream. I'm at a distance right now, about 500 to 600 meters away, and I need to follow it. There's an area with apparently some waterfalls or something like waterfalls halfway through. For today, I have pretty basic equipment. I couldn't find a usable map for the area, but I do have a good global positioning system with a detailed map of Mexico. But here there are only waterways and forest, with no notable landmarks. On the other hand, I backed it up with a compass. As for food, I really just took the basics. I took a few energy bars, and that should be enough. I took quite a bit of water, because actually that's going to be the biggest problem here. We start sweating very, very quickly. It's unbearably hot. Here there's a nice termite mound. So, well, in survival situations, you can eat it. I'll show you a little bit how it works. We're going to bother them a little bit, but they'll rebuild their mound without any problem. So you just need to open it a little bit like this. There, you have the termites coming out, and then you collect them directly. So for you, it's a delicacy. It's very, very good. So here there are a lot. It's really possible to feed yourself with this. Here, a characteristic tree of the region, it's the mulatto. So they also call it balsa wood. It's a wood that is very, very light, which can be used to build rafts. You need to be a team for that. Afterward, there are smaller ones. There are branches that can be used. So it can be cut fresh and it will have a lot of buoyancy. So the locals, they also make herbal teas with the bark. It has digestive properties and can also help fight against dysentery. It's mulatto. The locals said I have 7 or 8 kilometers to go and the same distance back. So it should be doable in a day, in theory. There are quite a few hunters' trails, and there are animal trails. There are areas where I'm on a tough bearing where I have to force my way through because the trails don't go in the right places. Sometimes I find other trails and walk them for a while. When they're more or less in the right direction, I take them. When I see that it goes too far to the right or too far to the left, I set off again in a straight line. There on the trails I move along well. It's okay. It's pretty easy. Well, I still saw 2 snakes. I couldn't really identify them. They're small snakes. I saw small snakes about 40 to 50 centimeters long. Little black snakes. So here, obviously, there are a lot of snakes. There's the Naja, what they call the four-nose, and there are jaguars. But normally, with the noise I'm making, I should be fine. They shouldn't come near. It's at night that it's dangerous. Basically, you shouldn't stay at night. Staying at night is still risky. I'm approaching some impassable cliffs. It's possible. So I'm going to keep going. According to the global positioning system, the waterfalls aren't very far, so I'm going to try to follow the gorge here. And then I hope I'll come across some waterfalls that are a bit distinctive. There's quite a bit of elevation change here, and the water is pretty fast. Here, there are very large trees, which are Maya walnut trees. So that's very well known. It's also very well known in the region. These trees are native to the region, but now they're also found in Africa, Asia, and Haiti. They're found almost everywhere in tropical regions. So in season, it produces a red fruit that's very sweet and very tasty. So in a survival situation, there's the issue of going to get the fruits. The canopy averages 40 meters here, with some trees reaching 60 to 70 meters. The fruits are nearly impossible to get unless they're very ripe and fall to the ground. If we come at the right season, it's possible, but it's a bit tight. On the other hand, the pit of this pine nut, it's called the pine nut, P-I-N-E. This pit is completely edible. It's very mild. So here, there are the new shoots, exactly like the oak tree back home. So on the other hand, compared to oaklands, these are pits. They're not bitter and taste great. You can eat them as is. But the best is to roast them, to crush them. Locals, dried grounds, and flour at the bottom. So it's a local traditional food. The locals call it Ramon. The interesting thing about the Maya walnut is that these are really important trees. They grow 164 feet tall and have a very well-developed trunk. So when you're in an area where you find the famous bread nut, it's already easy to spot on the ground. And you have hundreds of kilos of them. Since it's something you can almost eat directly, it's better to cook it, but you can eat them straight, which means you really get a calorie intake huge, very easily, and it can be stored in a bag, so it can allow you to keep going for a long time. Looks like I'm in the waterfall area. What I'm going to do is go down to check it out a bit, but also to cool off. I've been walking for 3.5 hours. I got a little bit lost, and then I followed a path that, in the end, didn't lead to the right place. So I had to turn back, and I lost about 40 minutes. The global positioning system is good. Well, only the waterways are accurate. Other than that, I don't have anything else listed. No ruins, no buildings, no waterfalls, no notable landmarks. We're in the middle of the forest. So here we have centipedes. So these aren't venomous. You can eat them or make soup with them if you want, no problem. You have different types of centipedes. There are gray ones that tend to be venomous. They can sting you and give you a staph infection. Usually, I was stung years ago and nearly lost my arm. So you should know that envenomations from centipedes, scorpions, flies, wasps. It's a heat-sensitive venom. You should know that if you get stung, you can use the flame of a lighter, a hot coal, or a cigarette to heat it. The area that was stung should be heated up to the limit of pain so as not to overdo it and get an additional burn. So you heat the area and you will neutralize the effect of the envenomation. In a humid tropical forest like this, there's always a spicy scent. It's very pleasant. Sometimes you can smell the fruits, a wild mango, a wild papaya. You can smell it, you sense a sweet scent, and you can look for it. You have to be attentive to the scents. Here it smells like musk. When it does, usually it means there are monkeys. So here I didn't hear them. I'm waiting to see. They're watching me from the canopy. So, in a humid tropical forest, we have the issue of water. So, we know there are certain vines that provide water quite easily. This one is just one of them. This is the prototype of vines that are completely twisted. You also have ringed vines that supply water, but there are many vines that don't provide water or that can even provide sugar or toxic water. So, when you don't know them, there's a basic technique. First, you make a notch. If you see there's a white sap, you discard it. It's a toxic vine, always. If you see that it's oozing, but it's not a white sap and it's not too thick, at that point, you cut the vine, but you have to cut it in one go. If you cut it little by little, the water will stay inside the vine. So you cut it with a clean, single stroke. Then you put your hand there and it flows out. If you have clear water that doesn't change color when it's in your hand, there's a good chance it's safe and drinkable. So at that point, you can taste it. If it's not bitter, if it's not acidic. If, on the other hand, it has a neutral taste or a woody taste or a sweet taste, it's good to eat. If it's acidic or bitter, you should always reject it. It's toxic. So here, I won't cut it because there's no point in cutting them. I have water, but it's typically this type of vine that's important and interesting to know about. Here I come across some sapodillas. So it's a fruit. It's a big fruit that you find in the humid tropical forests. It's a fruit about the size of a large tropical avocado. So it's a fruit that's very sweet. So now the season is over. There are a few sapodillas left on the ground. The sapodilla tree is the one over there. It's quite distinctive too. So it's very sweet, very good. Sapodilla offers two benefits. When it's ripe and in season, you can enjoy plenty of the fruit. But the seed is also interesting. I'll show you. These are very large, elongated seeds that are edible, but in this state, they're very bitter. Cut them up and cook in several changes of water to remove bitterness. The Mayas, at least. The locals make a drink out of it. Actually, it's a drink. They crush it. They mix it with corn, and they make a drink with it that looks like a cocoa drink, which they are very fond of. So the pit is very edible. Let's check it out. Cutting the sapodilla, you see it's usually a bit more yellow, but here it's rotten. And there you go. You see the pit, it's good, the sapodilla pit, which is also edible at this time. There you go. So it's a shell, and inside you have the seed. There you go. We cook it in several waters because in this state, as I already said, it's bitter. Here is the seed. So here we quickly get biomass. Objective achieved. Incredible. The locals weren't lying to me. It's a nice surprise. Here, I'm at the top of what seems to be the Hundry, a very ancient pyramid. With columns, round columns, and a kind of capital made of mud, completely taken over by the jungle. So these are ruins that are absolutely not listed here. And I noticed that there are mounds scattered all over the place. So we must be in an ancient city. It's really beautiful. And then the global positioning system gives me 7-8. Since the beginning, the passages are relatively easy. Another surprise. So here, a construction. I'm still on top of a tumulus. And as I walk around the small temple, I find this entrance. So I'm going to take a look. I'm going to check it out. It seems to be a construction. That's typical Maya anyway. Those are Maya vaults. So between 1,000 and 2,000 years, and it looks like a maze inside that. Leads or used to lead to something certainly more complex. There are bats. There, everywhere. They are magnificent, but